I think I did that in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I set it up as much as possible the night of, so I don't really have anything in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Should I have something in this moment?
Hello, and welcome to Prompt, a podcast for people who love stories. My name is Amy B., and I'm a writer and one of the creators of In a Nutshell, a monthly storytelling show in Sacramento, California. My co-creators are the world-class comedian Keith Lowell Jensen and the ska defender music journalist Aaron Carnes. We get to hear all kinds of great stories at our show, and we want you to hear them too. So every episode, we'll play you a true personal story told at one of our shows, and then we'll talk to the storyteller to not only find out more about the person behind the story, but also discover why they tell the stories they tell. This week on Prompt, we spoke with Maryam Moosavi, a Sacramento comedian who told us a roller coaster of a story at our April Nutshell show. A story so well told, so filled with all the best aspects of the craft, that it was hard to believe this was Maryam's first serious attempt at storytelling. On its surface, Maryam's story is about being 14 and getting sexually involved with a 19-year-old, and how the experience unravels her family, her school, and herself. But on a deeper level, the story chronicles a young person's struggle for self-actualization within a constrictive family, the loneliness that such a struggle breeds, and how alienating and indifferent the world and its authority figures can be, even as they claim they are only trying to protect. Maryam tells this story of her younger self with humor, vulnerability, and, impressively, without diluting any of the ambivalence or contradictions that come with being 14 years old. So sit back, settle in, and enjoy the story. My prediction is anyone who has been a 14-year-old girl is going to relate. Parents listening are going to hold their breath to the end, and the rest of us adults will wonder for the 100th time how any of us make it out of our teenage years alive. And now, here's Maryam Moosavi.
My name is Maryam. I am a stand-up comedian, and in a few moments you will hear why. Just for some context, my mom is an immigrant from Germany. My dad is an immigrant from Iran, and we were raised in a really strict Muslim household. My parents met in San Francisco, and then they got married in the late 80s. My mom converted to Islam to legitimize their marriage. And my dad ran a really strict household. We would pray 5 times a day, fast during Ramadan, and visit the mosque every Friday. But my dad would also travel a lot, so sometimes we'd have a little fun when he was gone. Because my mom converted, she was like, you guys have to pray, but she also, she let me paint my nails and go to the movies, and she let my brother play Grand Theft Auto and stuff. But then my dad would come back, and we would all act accordingly. But one time my mom told me in confidence that whenever my dad was home, she was constipated. And I tell you that not to embarrass her, but to just communicate how much tension we felt when he was home. Okay, now that was the context. Okay, so I was 14 in 2008. I was a freshman in high school. I wasn't very popular. I always wanted to be popular. Like, I wanted to be like the cool American girl with like long straight hair, a cross necklace, like goes to pool parties. But my parents just weren't having that, so I wasn't very cool. I had like acne. I wore long sleeves in the summer. I didn't know how to take care of my curls. Like, my mom's hair is wavy and my dad is bald, so like I literally just every morning would take like a whole handful of gel and just push down my curls. And I wasn't cool. And I had this really big crush on a super senior at my school. He was held back. He was 19. But I thought he was hot. And he had like gauges and long curly hair, and like that he knew how to take care of. And like he he had his nipples pierced, and he one time wore a robe to school. That's how I knew he had his nipples pierced. And I was like, right? Just kidding. I was like, wow, he is so free. And I have no idea how I got this guy, because like I said, I was a loser, but I somehow weaseled my way in. We started talking on MySpace, okay? We would talk about like music and movies, and pretty soon we were like texting, and then we were like sexting. I know, crazy, but we didn't do that forever. We eventually went on like real adult dates where we'd go to a parking lot and smoke weed. So we evolved. And I know that this all sounds bad, but I just need you guys to remember the context. Who is it? Is it my dad finding out about this? So the context was I had no freedom. I was watched like a hawk. So when I was with Aaron, I just felt like so independent and grown up. And one day I decided, okay, I'm ready to have sex now, which is crazy, and I know that. But I think because it was so taboo, I was kind of obsessed with it, with the idea. So I text him, I'm ready, and he's so thrilled. And then we start planning it over text because I'm kind of still too shy to talk to him in person. LOL. So we're planning it, and he pitches. He's like, what if you say you're gonna go spend the night at your neighbor Emily's, and then I'll come pick you up? And I remember texting back, I can't have sleepovers. My dad's a dick. That I just remember saying that. Okay. Now put a pin in that. Okay. So this is just a couple days apart, but we have to. Okay. So then it's spring break. I didn't do anything this whole spring break, okay? And my dad is home, which is why I didn't do anything. And I'm like, Dad, would it be okay if I go over to Emily's and maybe bake some cookies with her? And guys, she lives 4 houses down. He knows her mom. He has her number. It should be a yes, but he has to think about it for a while. I was like, come on, Dad. Everyone's having an awesome spring break. So finally he's like, okay, because I love you, you can go. And I go. So I go, but we've not really, because we actually go to Albertsons. we walk over to Albertsons, and that's actually why he didn't trust me. But we walk over to Albertsons, and we did this we'd always do this really stupid thing where we'd go to the bakery section, and we would get a donut out of the case, and then we would eat the donut and walk around, and then just walk out. And get away with it, 69 cents later, okay? And we got away with it just almost 1 billion times. But this time we did not get away with it because there were 2 secret shoppers that followed us out, 2 big-ass guys. And mind you, I'd been texting and planning sex with a 19-year-old boy, okay? So when we get taken upstairs to Albertsons, which, I didn't even know they had it upstairs. So I'm fucking freaking out. But I'm going upstairs, and I look at my phone because I'm I gotta delete these, right? Uh-oh, my phone's dead. Oh, I'm dead. How about? So I'm freaking out. We go upstairs, and they take our pictures on a Polaroid camera, and I'm like this, and the picture, it's sepia, for me. Emily's parents are white. She's from Fremont. She's in her picture. I feel like her parents put that on her fridge, at their fridge. I feel like they're that's our girl. Then they made us call our dads. Specifically, they said, call your dad. So Emily calls her dad, and he's like, this is great. We're out of milk. I'll come pick you up. I'll get the milk. Whatever. So then it's my turn, and they're call your dad. So I called my mom. And then she answers on the first ring, and he hangs up. He said, I said call your dad. I was like, look, let's make a deal. How about you just take me to prison? And I'll call him from there. No, but calls my dad. My dad answers on the first ring. I'm like, I feel like they're just like, they just know it's up. But I was like, hi, Dad, I stole a donut. Can you come pick me up, please? And he's like, I'm on my way. And I feel like the receiver was like hot on my ear. He picks me up. He snatches my phone, which I'm like, I'm so stressed about, right? We go home. He takes all the posters off my walls. He takes my computer, my straightener, my nightlight. Okay? That's messed up. And then after all that, I try to fall asleep. And the next morning, my mom wakes me up looking for my charger. And she finds it. And she finds it, and she grabs it, and on her way out of my room, she's like, stay out of your father's fucking way. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, no worries, Judith. I'm staying in here like all day. So I'm freaking out. I'm having a bad time. I miss my posters, and then I have to listen as my parents plug in my phone and just like read all the messages to each other. And I remember my dad reading in his thick Persian accent that I cannot replicate. My dad's a dick and won't let me have sleepovers. I'm like, okay. Spam text, all right. I'm freaking out. And thankfully, my mom is having a study group. She was in the University of Phoenix. I don't know. She was having a study group that morning. So my dad couldn't really yell at me, really. But he came upstairs and like whisper yelled at me a lot. And he like grabbed my hair and he yelled, and my mom was like, okay, so in figure 13.1, and meanwhile, he's like, you're a fucking whore. And my brother's like, don't call her that. And we're in this, like, her family's freaking falling apart up there, okay? And I'm trying to make it funny, but it was stressful, okay? So after that, my dad didn't really talk to me for days unless he was threatening me. He's like, we're going to send him to jail. We're going to go to the doctor, see if you're a virgin. Or he wouldn't let me eat with them, and he didn't want me to hang out with them. He was really mean to me, and my mom started to feel bad, and she would sneak hugs, but she was like, you're still in trouble. And I was like, for sure. And I forgot to say, my dad maintained a residence in Saudi Arabia for like his entire life. Like when he met my mom, my entire childhood, to this day, he maintains a residence there. So he was traveling back to Saudi Arabia in a couple days, and I was like, finally. Like the house was just so tense. And hold on, I forgot what I was going to say. Everybody clap, just really quick. Okay. And so so they talked to my brother. They're like, you got to watch her like a hawk. And he's like, for sure. And there was one night on that first week that my mom had an evening class at the University of Phoenix. And she was like, don't let your sister out of your sight. And he was like, absolutely not. But because we hadn't had any fun in like so long, my brother and I decided, okay, let's go hang out with our friends. So Aaron picks me up, and we go to his house, and we get into his bedroom, and he has a mirror on the ceiling. And I thought that was a little advanced for me. I was like, ooh. I made him cover it with a blanket. I was like, I was really stressed out. Anyway, and I remember the sex was very painful, and I flinched, and I made a face, and I remember him saying, and it was so cute, he was like, don't make that face. You're making me soft. And I was like, yep, this is just like the Notebook. Wow, it's just like I always pictured it. So, and when I get back home, when my mom gets home, I like make sure I'm unloading the dishwasher. And my brother, he's playing video games, and she doesn't suspect a thing. Then the next day at school, I didn't have my phone, but I just wanted to talk about what happened so bad. I was just like, I can't believe we did that, and like I feel like a different person. And so I asked my friend Richard, I was like, can I just use your phone for this break really quick? And he's like, sure. So now I'm texting Aaron about it with details, okay? And then the bell rings, and I don't have time again to delete the damn messages. I didn't learn from the first time. But I was like, whatever, okay? Who cares if Richard reads my messages? I care, right? So he goes back to class. I go to my 8th period, which is PE. And when I'm there, I hear from one of the kids in my class, my brother threw a tantrum in his class, screaming, cussing. He punched the wall. And then my heart just dropped because I realized, oh, fuck. Richard and Ollie are in the same class, which means he showed my brother the text. Then, right after that, I get a call, your mom's in the office. Oh, fuck. I was like, Mom, get to work, please. Just kidding. No. So I go to the office. She's waiting for me in a room. I get in there, and I'm like, I didn't do anything. I was like, I barely did anything. No, I was just kidding. And she's like, he's going to jail. And I was like, that's weird because I didn't even do anything. Just kidding. And then thankfully, luckily for me, there was a huge accident that day in Tracy, and all of the police were on the scene, so nobody could tend to my matter. So the school sent us home and said, let's pick this back up on Monday. And I was like, thank God, everybody got into that huge accident. Woo! Right? I'm just kidding. So on the way home, so I'm just really trying to make this fun and funny. So on the way home, my mom's like, I'm not letting you out of my sight. You're so grounded. Your dad's going to kill you. And you got to go garage sailing with me tomorrow at 6 a.m. with Kim. And I just remember smiling because I didn't care. Because I already decided I was going to kill myself that night. So I thought you guys were going to laugh at that, but it's cool. I get why you didn't. I get why you didn't. So we go home. My mom tries to call my dad. He doesn't answer. I'm like, yes. And then she falls asleep on the couch. And so then I get to the medicine cabinet and take a bunch of pills, sleeping pills, Aleve, Advil, make a little charcuterie board with all the pills, UTI medicine, 40 gummy Flintstones. They're so good. I go upstairs. This is sad. I'm sorry, but I try to hit a vein. It's really hard. I'm not having a good time. It's not working. And at some point, I just give up. I guess I will have to go to that fucking garage sale tomorrow. I drop the razor, and when I stand up, I don't realize I step on the razor. It digs so deep into my foot that by the time I look down, a huge puddle's already forming. I'm like, fuck yeah. I'm like, now we're back, okay? So, and I'm crazy right now at this point. I'm stressed out, okay? So I'm making little puddles around the room, just making little, I also can't believe it. I'm like, whoa, it's happening. Then I start to think, oh shit, I'm making a big mess, and this is kind of messed up. I don't want my mom to find me like this. So I go and I start cleaning it up. I have blood on the bottoms of both of my feet. I'm on my hands and knees cleaning it up when the door opens behind me. Fuck. My mom breaks into just a panic where she can't stop saying, oh my God. She says, oh my God, for 15 minutes straight. And I'm just in shock too. I can't, she's wrapping up my wrist and I just can't get it out that it's actually my foot. But I love the work that you're doing. It's important work. Trying to make it funny. All right. So the next day I wake up and I'm just I can't believe I'm in the same situation again. I'm also sick as a dog. Because all the freaking crazy cocktail of things I took. I remember my mom was like, look, we're not going to tell your dad. I think I scared her. She's like, we're not going to tell your dad, but we do need to make a statement, and there will be legal consequences. And I'm like, okay, deal, like whatever. So I get to school the next day, and I don't have a chance to warn Aaron before I'm called into the office. I'm called into the office, into the same room my mom had just been waiting for me in. And there's 2 cops sitting there, and they say, tell us what happened. And I was like, we just kicked it at the park. We're just totally hanging out at the park. And then one goes, yeah, well, he told us that you had sex. And I was like, what? I was like, I was so confused and scared. I was like, I don't know why he would tell you that. We so didn't have sex. Like, we didn't. And they're just staring. And I was like, okay, we did. And I just spilled the beans. And they were doing the good cop, bad cop thing. Because when I got out, Aaron was sitting, waiting to be talked to. He hadn't even made a statement yet. And I just confessed everything. Because I was a dumbass 14-year-old. So then that day at lunch, he got arrested in front of the entire school. And everybody hated me because he was popular. And I had Jerry curl, I was not that popular. And some people, either they hated me or they felt bad for me because my brother said that I was raped, and it was really traumatic, and I didn't feel good at home or at school, you guys, I really thought I loved Aaron, so I was also really just sad about that. And I know that's goofy, but when you're 14, you just think you love people. Okay, anyway, so I went to a charter school, and usually summer school is required, but they let me sit that one out, okay? And over the summer, we had the trial, and it was going to be the first time that I'd seen Aaron in like 2 months. And I walked into the courtroom, and he had it completely cut his hair, assuming also taken out the nipple rings. And there was no jury. It was just like the main people, and then him, his grandma, who substitute taught at our school, and his mom. And I sat down in the swivel chair, not realizing it was a swivel chair, spun 360 degrees. And when I stopped it, we looked at each other and we laughed. And I was like, okay, cool, he's not mad. But it was, I wasn't trying to have a great time or anything. I was just nervous. And then it was super embarrassing. Their first question was like, can you tell us what sex is? They're like, do you know what sex is? And I was like, hell yeah, I know what sex is. Like, no, just kidding. And then they're like, well, what is it? And I was like, when a penis goes into a vagina, Your Honor. And that was so embarrassing. And I was smiling, and it looked like I was having a lot of fun, but I was just really stressed. And all in all, my testimony helped his case. They were able to determine that it was consensual, and therefore he didn't have to do any jail time. But because it was considered statutory rape, he is a registered sex offender to this day. He's actually here tonight. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. There's like a school 2 blocks away, so he couldn't make it. He couldn't make it. And I feel really bad about that, because I'm pretty sure it wasn't even good for him. And my relationship with my dad never recovered, even though he never found out that we fully had sex. We never recovered. We haven't talked in the last decade. And I guess the moral of the story is pay for the donut. Thank you.
Maryam Moosavi.
Oh my God, she's delightful.
I just want to say that story is a marvel. It is so good. It's brilliant. And I think it's amazing how quickly you win the audience over and how charmed they are by you, and that they're going along the ride with you. And these are this is a group of old people or maybe at least parents, right? And they're totally in on this like funny story about a 14 and 19-year-old having sex. Like they seem to like leave that at the door, right? That's amazing.
They were so supportive. I was really surprised. A lot of people were just like, thank you for being so authentic. And I was really surprised by the reaction. But also I felt super emotional. Just it being well received made me feel so good.
Yeah.
You know, because it was, I never thought something so traumatic would turn into a beautiful night for everybody. You know?
Oh my gosh.
Where we were all laughing and having a nice time.
Well,
you are an adult. And I've always listened to your stand-up comedy like I'm listening to another adult. And I relate to your stories about dating and stuff like that. That night, for the first time, I very much listened to you as a parent. I have a daughter who's just a little older than you were in that story. And I have to tell you that it was rough.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. But it was like, I mean, I wanted to walk on stage and hug you. And also walk on stage and go, what the fuck were you thinking? Would you get off the fucking phone? Have you learned since then how to delete a text message?
No, I've learned nothing.
No, okay.
So while I'm watching, I'm seeing how quickly you're winning people over. And then I start feeling kind of anxious as I'm watching. And the next thing you know, it's almost like I'm holding onto my seat. We're all like filled with tension. Like, is she going to land this? Is this going to, what's going to happen? And I also feel like that's kind of what I'm like hoping to get from storytelling, right? It was this messiness, this complexity, this like, I don't know if she even knows what she's doing, what's happening, you know, who's driving this thing. But you like totally landed it. You put the donut line in there, and like I thought it was fantastic.
Thank you. It's actually funny because I went to the previous storytelling show and I listened to JP. Yeah. And what's his last name? Morgan? Oh no, Frary. JP Morgan's a bank, I think.
Yeah.
I listened to JP Frary, and so when I was asked to do the show, I was so inspired by him that I tried to write the story in his voice. I spent a month trying to write the story in his voice. When I pitched it to my best friend, it was 3 days before our show, and we just laughed through the whole thing because it sounded ridiculous because it wasn't in my voice. And at that point, she was like, just tell it how you would tell me. But because I had written the shit out of it for that whole month, I was able to get the donut line because I was
nice.
And had I just, said, yeah, I'll tell it when I tell it, I don't think I would have been able to land the plane. It's only because I had been writing it for a month and then I threw it away, but still kind of kept some of the good lines in there, the structural lines in there.
I do feel like some people, audiences, are going to want to know some things. Like, I guess some people might want to know how you feel about the story now that you've told it, now that it's out there, or you as an adult, how you feel about that time period. It was very healing to tell that night. I journaled so much, and in the morning too, I just felt so grateful. Like I said earlier, I mean, if I had known 15 years ago that terrible, because it was prolonged. I mean, my dad stayed. He used to travel. He stayed for a year and watched me, and he wouldn't let me out of his sight. He'd hold my hand and walk me to the gate of the school, and after school he'd hold my hand. Everybody was like talking with their friends. My dad came and took my hand and walked me back to the car. And so at that time I was just the most miserable person, and so for us to just have a beautiful night like that, it made me feel inspired, like life can be so beautiful. So I loved being able to tell that story. Thank you for the opportunity to tell it. And as far as how I feel about that time in my life, I do feel grateful because I do actually think that might be why I became a comedian. I was miserable for so long, and now I just had this desperation to laugh and be happy and forget it all, and maybe that's what drew me towards just comedy and comics in general. Yeah. Wow.
Does telling it help to make it solidly in the past, to make it something it really, that I don't know, that you're better from it now? Not better as in recovered.
Yeah.
You're like, that is my past. That's not, I can tell it.
Yeah, like I have the power now. I'm not scared, and I can tell it now. Also, I always want to tell people about it. Like when I get close or start a new relationship, I just want to be like, by the way, there's this crazy part of my life that I think shaped me a little bit. So here it is. And so it was really fun to just tell a bunch of people at the same time because it's a long story, and I don't want to make everyone sit through it individually.
Kind of jumping off what Keith said. I felt like there was a tone where you were telling it as you of that time, like the details you'd focus on and the feelings and how I really felt like when I was watching it, like I was really getting a sense of what you actually felt in the moment.
Yeah, I remember it very, very vividly, unfortunately. Yes, I just tapped back in because, like I said, it was like a prolonged period of time that I was reflecting on it, so I feel like I can easily tap back into it.
I'm interested in the other people that were in the story and how you deal with the fact that this isn't just your story, it's also their story. Mark Twain wrote an autobiography and said it couldn't be published until he was dead for 100 years. And they did. 100 years after his death, they published it. Because everyone involved would be dead by then. And does it... I think even when we started sharing parts of it on social media, there were some that you didn't care to share on your page. So what's it like to have people that knew you then, people that are actually in the story, the potential of them hearing it? How much does that concern you or affect your telling of it?
The people that knew me then, I don't feel anything about. I'm like, yeah, you remember that? Great, me too. But the people in the story actually, like, I sent it to my mom. She was like, what story did you tell? That was such a big stage. And I was like, Mom, you know the story I told. And she goes, oh. And then she was like, well, I wish somebody would have recorded that. And I go, well, they did just send it to me today. She goes, oh, well, could you send it? And I say, sure. I go, Mom, if you watch it and you hate it, can you just don't say anything to me about it? Like, I don't even think I can handle it if you, I don't know why I feel emotional about that right now. But anyway, she didn't get back to me about it. And so I know, wow, I can't believe I'm crying.
And she still hasn't?
No, and it was brought up again, but in passing, and she still didn't say anything. Like, I had told her, I showed my friend Ruby, the comedian, my story, and she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, okay, so that really means that she either didn't like it or it's too hard for her to relive, which I understand. And then my brother didn't say anything either. So, yeah, I did feel a little stressed out about them seeing the clips about it. And then also my extended family, I have like my Persian side, we're just not that close, but they do follow me, and I always felt misunderstood by them. And so I was scared if they saw some clips to just like make me even more confusing to them. Right. But all in all, even though I guess it is all of our stories, I did feel like this is my story to tell, and I'm brave enough to tell it, so I will. And so I don't regret it, but I was hurt maybe more than I realized about my mom's non-reaction.
The one thing that you can give your children, especially your adult children, is validation of what they have been through, their version of events. And when like a parent doesn't give that to you, it's devastating.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you did an amazing thing, just claiming it and owning it and speaking it and saying it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
And I just want to say, like, I get it. Like, I understand what I mean. That must have been devastating for her, and of course. So, if she wants to I just kind of wish she never asked for it, because she knew the story, and then she said, send it. So what? And then it just,
So you are her second child?
Yeah.
I am my mom's fourth child.
Wow.
She's picky about when she'll come see me perform. She generally doesn't.
Yeah.
But I will occasionally invite her if I know I'm going to do a set that I think she'll enjoy.
Yeah.
One that her friends she won't be embarrassed. Right. And yeah, it's a hard thing to reconcile, because my mom's very proud of me and she's proud of the success I've had. But is she also saying she's embarrassed of me or ashamed of me? Because there are things that I say and believe and feel that she doesn't care to share with her friends.
Yeah. It's complicated, and I'm actually in the same boat as you. Like, well, I don't know, you've heard my set. I do have a lot of jokes about my mom. Yeah. And I feel like I'm allowed to tell them, but she would hate to hear any of them. But at the same time, is proud of me, does think I'm brave, loves that I'm pursuing an unconventional path. And it may have been difficult for her in the beginning. She's like, okay, stand-up comedy, okay. But, is proud of me, so.
She is no longer with your father?
No longer with my father, lives in Germany. Germany.
And is no longer
remarried.
Muslim?
Is no longer Muslim.
Okay.
So funny because growing up, she was like, I did not convert to Islam for your dad. I just love the religion. And and then now when they got divorced, she's spiritual. So hard to believe that now.
I know. When I was hearing the story, I was trying to figure out how they ended up together. I was wondering that must be a story all of its own.
Yeah.
You kind of just gave the...
Yeah, I'll give a little. So my dad is 15 years older than my mom, and he owned a donut shop in San Francisco.
Donuts again?
Yeah, I know, with the freaking donuts.
You know that my shoplifting story also involves donuts.
Oh, no way. They're just so good.
It's the circle of life.
Wow. Yeah, and actually it's very sad. Now you'll understand my mom a little bit better. She moved from Germany when she was 19 because her dad killed himself. And her whole family, she's the oldest of 4, and they found him hanging in the attic after he was gone for 2 hours. He was supposed to be home. Anyways, they just couldn't find. I meant days. I didn't mean years or hours. I meant days. Okay, that's what I meant. Anyway,
going once, going twice.
Don't make me do this. So she, it was a lot of pressure on her, and because my Oma broke down, and so then she had to take care of things, and she just ran away. She ran away to New York, and then was struggling there, and moved to San Francisco, and had 3 jobs, and one of them was under the care. Was working for my dad, and my dad is very charming, and I think she saw him maybe as a little bit of a father figure, being 15 years older, and he took care of her. So that's over time they kind of fell in love that way. But I do think he took advantage of her. But she was 21, and he's 36. But that is how they met.
I don't want to give away anything that may come up in a future storytelling show. Well, there's something else very interesting about your parents, right? Did your dad have a secret life?
Oh my God, yes. I have so many half siblings. I literally, sometimes I'm like, he's cute. I'm like, he could be my brother. I don't know. Yeah, he has a family in LA of older. I have 2 older siblings. They're in their 40s, and we thought it was just the one, right? But then his Instagram now, he has 2 younger boys as his icon, and when they were living in, which I don't want to get confused. So with the LA family, they didn't know about us. They found my Facebook when I was 13, and my
God.
dad and his ex-wife had a heart attack when they found out. I mean, how would you feel if you found out your ex-husband had a family, 2 kids, a dog, And then he just kept going with that. Even when my mom was pregnant with my brother, my dad, like I said in the story, traveled a lot to the Middle East, and my mom was pregnant, and she opens the door one day, and it's a woman looking for her husband, and she's looking for my dad. And apparently my dad had married her in Egypt to get his Egyptian citizenship.
Wow.
And when Egypt, when you are divorced, my dad was like, I'm going to divorce her. It's fine. I just needed this citizenship. When you are divorced in Egypt, you don't get remarried. He ruined her life. And,
wow.
And what's weird is my mom, I think, being so desperate here in the country and just, kind of young and dumb, just let her live with them for a while. They all 3 would hold hands and go on walks and live together because my dad was kind of just charming and a con artist. So.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes. Sorry, Dad, if you're listening. I know you're not, but I'm airing it all out.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our regular episode, but our paid subscribers, hang in there because we've got more for you. Additional content coming up right now.
I was actually curious watching it this most recent time, what your relationship is to Islam and religion in general.
Okay, great question. Yeah, I gave up Islam when I turned 19. I moved out, and I wanted to smoke weed, and I felt honestly the examples I had given of the Muslim people in my dad, for example, was the one enforcing the religion and was such an asshole and made everyone around him miserable. And
I heard he's a dick.
yeah, he's such a dick. Wouldn't let me have any sleepovers. But, so that kind of crumbled my belief a little bit, and I also wanted to try a bunch of things that I wanted to do things without feeling guilty. So then I declared I am no longer Muslim, and I stopped praying and all that. But in recent years, I feel a little bit of tenderness towards Islam, and I miss it because it was such a sense of community. And I'm curious about the mosque here in Sacramento, and I just feel like disconnected and a sadness for having given it up. And I find that when I get home safe from a comedy trip or something, I go Alhamdulillah, or before I eat I say Bismillah, and it's now I redefined it so that even though I'm not a practicing Muslim, I hope whoever's out there knows that when I say Alhamdulillah, I mean I'm grateful. When I say Bismillah, I say I'm grateful. I'm expressing my own version of Islam without following all the rules.
That's so interesting to me because I'm very, known for being an atheist. I'm outspoken as an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
I have, in recent years, wanted to embrace the Catholicism that I grew up with because it's weird how it becomes a part of who you are.
Yeah.
And so I have rosary beads hanging on my headboard like all of my family did when we were growing up.
Yeah, it's kind of beautiful that way that you can redefine your relationship with it. Also, I respect the religion, and I think if I had better examples, I would still maybe be Muslim. But there's one thing in the Quran, Prophet Muhammad said, don't turn your stomach into a graveyard. So that means probably don't eat 3 different barn animals in a day. So what I do, I follow little versions of that rule. Like if I eat chicken, I know you're vegan, I'm sorry, but if I eat chicken for breakfast, I'm probably only going to eat chicken that day, or I'm not going to eat chicken again. And so I follow these little rules that make sense to me within the religion without being a practicing.
So I'm a true atheist. This is just a nice seg because I love the part about the wanting to be a girl in the babe suit with the cross. Yeah. Because I'm an atheist, but I really liked crosses. I always wished I could wear a cross. Cool. But I was picturing a goth girl, but this was 2008 for you, so it probably wasn't a goth girl with a black bathing suit.
No.
So the way that I finally got to wear a cross is that somebody gave me a cross that was also a switchblade.
Okay,
the bottom would flip out into a switchblade. I'm like, yes,
still
finally,
an authentic
I can wear it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I remember being so jealous of the Christians. I'm like, so you already forgave all your sins, so you're good?
Right.
You can just do whatever you want, say sorry? Then that was my interpretation of it. So I was like, gosh, I just wish I was Christian so bad. It seems easy.
Did you have a line in your stand-up?
I used to be Muslim, but then when I got to college, I just made a BLT and never looked back.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I stopped. I took that out because it's a little bit hacky, but yeah, I just wanted to express that, hey, this is my background, but everything you're about to hear in this set is going to be bad.
And I thought I remembered you one time even saying, when I got to college, I kissed a girl, ate a BLT, and never looked back.
Oh yeah, because you've seen me in the very beginning.
I'm a fan, and I mean that sincerely.
Thank you, Keith, because you're one of the first people to book me and believe in me, and
you're
I appreciate
really
that.
good. And it's funny talking about process. One of the things that we are doing is inviting comedians to see the show first.
Yeah.
Unless I already feel like, they get it, they know what storytelling is. Mm-hmm. And it was funny, your reaction. You saw it and I went, oh, yeah, okay.
I had such a great night. I went to the last one too. I will always go to them. They're so much fun.
Nice.
Thank you guys for putting
you'll come back and tell another story.
I would love
too.
to. Yeah, and thank you for putting it on. I know it's a lot of work.
Did you present it like, I think I'd like you to do this, but come watch it first? Mm-hmm. Is that how it was presented? Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Did you have a concept of how you would tell a story before then? Had you had an experience with that?
Yeah, I have been on some storytelling shows before, much smaller, of course, and I would tell 1 or 2 of the same stories, but being in that environment, I was like, it might be time to tell the story. After I was like, I think I'm ready to tell it, just because of how attentive attentive, and like I like that it's a bunch of older people there. I feel like they're very attentive and loving, and just the way you prep them, like open your arms and we're ready to receive. I was like, this would be the most supportive environment for this story.
Can you tell us more about the part in your story where you lost your way and just said, please clap?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the suicide attempt. Yeah, actually, I stole that from Celeste Winter, a comedian.
Okay.
Because when she was a new comic, she would, if she didn't get a laugh, she would be like, everybody clap. Everybody clap right now. So I was like, can you just clap? So it's a version from her. Yeah.
I was impressed at how quick you remembered, because I would have been like, everybody clap, and then it wouldn't have done anything for me.
I fully panicked, and it's because I did that. I had written it in JP's voice, so then I was like, what were the beats? What were the structural beats? Because I can easily lose my way and get lost.
Did you say to yourself before the show, like, if I forget, I'm going to do this? Or did that just come to you in the moment?
It just came to me in the moment, especially because, like, I wouldn't happily steal from Celeste, but it was such a moment of panic. That's all I could draw on.
The other interesting thing to me that night was, and the moment that got the biggest laugh was when you were talking about Aaron, and you said, and he's here tonight. But which, like, I remember that night, Bo Ryder Davis went on before you, and he made a whole joke about how that's like the hacky thing to do at a storytelling show, and you got a big laugh out of that. So you doing that, like, it was a very funny moment because it was such a tense moment that you broke the tension, but you also referenced that.
I was so grateful because I watched his story. I was so grateful. I was like, I'm going to call that, but I'm going to do that. Because I of course anticipated that it would be tense in there. And I was like, oh, he's throwing me a lifeboat. Life vest, and he doesn't even know it. Because, like, imagine without that. And then I had the donut line. The donut line was all right, but I think everyone was in a good mood from the callback. So I was so grateful for that.
Yeah, that worked out for you.
Yeah. It was, when I was wild, I was like, yes, I'm using that.
You keep talking about how, like, you knew that audience would be supportive and that they would be a gracious audience and you know, I don't know if loving is the right word, but they're a cool audience. How much stress was there also that it was too tense or that it would be too unpleasant of a subject to talk about?
A lot. You know, I felt like I'm like almost how JP said the last time. He was like, I'm sorry what I'm about to do to you.
Oh, wow.
That's how I felt. I felt like, oh gosh. And while I was writing it, I was really trying to punch it up. If I found an opportunity for a joke, I was like, let's do it, because I don't want to make you sit through this, you know. And I do, of course, not everything got a laugh, but I was very worried and tried to, you know, soften the blow with.
I mean, that all seemed like it all seemed very purposeful on my side. Like, and some of the things you said seemed very writerly, and now I know why, because you did the whole first draft.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
I wrote it for a whole month, and imagine my panic. 3 days before, my best friend is like, this sucks. Because I'm trying to copy somebody, and she's like, this sounds nothing like you. You sound ridiculous. And I was so grateful for her honesty, and it ended up helping me out a lot.
So if you ended up doing it in a more conversational, how you would tell it, I mean, there still seems like there's craft involved.
Right.
It still seems like you were making some decisions. Can you tell us something about that? Like,
I mean,
like how you were coming from the perspective of a 14-year-old, but there would be key moments where I felt like you kept kind of cluing us into a different perspective of the story, and like it seemed like you were writing this line of like, this is how I felt at 14, and everybody comes along with you, and then you would remind people,
I know
this could be a totally different story.
I was scared that I would forget the context. I was scared I didn't say enough about how I felt in the home, which was like completely controlled. So like it's embarrassing for me to tell a group of people that I had sex with a 19-year-old. Like I just decided really quick that I was ready. You know, I'm embarrassed about that, but I think the context is so important. So I kept wanting to draw back to it so that they would understand where I was coming from. And like I said, the only reason it had structure, well, it's because it's a big convoluted story. It needed to have chunks and structure, or else you guys could get lost. So there were even things I said, you know what, let's take that out. Like that's distracting or just sad for no reason. You know, like one thing was and when I was being interrogated by those two cops, they asked about my wrist. And and I was like, yeah, I tried to kill myself. They're like, why? Because you just went to the park, because I was at that point lying. And then they said, can I see? And it was wrapped. My mom had wrapped it. I say, I'm scared. I'm like, that's 14. So I unwrap it, and they both come over and look at it, and I'm looking at it for the first time after 3 days and seeing it's super infected, and I'm thinking, oh, no wonder my mom didn't want to rewrap this, and she didn't want to go to the doctor. She didn't want to go to the hospital.
Why?
I think she felt shame. She instead just took the razors out of the bathroom and the knives away, and then made me sleep with her. She just didn't want to bring me to the hospital and say I failed as a parent, which I didn't see it that way, but I'm just trying to see through her eyes. So like I originally had written that they made me show them, but then I was like, okay, give them a break. I'm already making them go through a lot here. So, because there were so many parts, I hope this answers your question. I relied heavily on some structure.
I also feel like you perfectly conveyed what it's like to be a 14-year-old and how everything that's not serious is very serious and everything that's serious is serious, and that everything is dramatic, and that almost so dramatic that you kind of aren't clued in on the moments that are actually serious. It's kind of weird, and I feel like you really conveyed that well.
I know it, because it did feel like the end of the world. And growing up, I'm like, oh my gosh, now it's just a silly story I tell people, But I'm like, had I killed myself, I would have felt so stupid, because life got so much better. And yes, it just feels so dramatic when you're that age.
Also, one more thing is your mom seemed like really antagonistic towards you in a lot of ways.
Yes, you remember how I was saying that my dad kind of manipulated her, the age gap, and she kind of was, I feel bad saying this, but kind of his little puppet. She was scared of him too. Yeah. And he wasn't even there all the time, and whatever he said on the phone was the final say. So if she would take his lead, so if he was that mad, then she's that mad. And for a while I resented her. I said, you should have stood up for me and you should have protected me. And she said, I was fighting for you. I to the best of my ability. I pushed back when I could. Yeah. So I think that she was dealing with her own trauma, her own daddy issues, really, and so it's like she wasn't prepared to be strong for me, I guess. So yeah, but I forgive her because we all have, she wasn't in control of how her parents treated her either. Yeah.
I hope not talking out of turn saying this, but if there's anything you've said that makes me, not that I'm any expert or anything else, but if there's anything you've said that makes me feel like, oh, she has recovered, she is better, it's the fact that you're able to see her perspective and to be loving and forgiving towards her. That's incredible. Yeah. And that means you're okay. Like you have gotten over it.
My mom has had such a difficult life, and I feel nothing but love and compassion for her. And I think maybe she didn't want to watch the story, but I think she feels very loving towards me too. And we just want the best for each other, and we've healed. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So just to kind of go back a little bit to the craft element of it, I'm curious your perspective now, having done so much comedy, having done our show and done some storytelling and inserting comedy into the story. Where do you see the line between doing comedy and telling stories, even if the story has comedy in it? Like, what do you feel like defines it as a storytelling kind of performance versus a comedy performance?
I feel like when the comedy audience has a much shorter attention span, and I don't often get to take my time, and there has to be a laugh every 30 seconds or it's not comedy. And
that clock is running.
The LPMs, the laughs per minute, they better be high, and I feel this pressure. But with a storytelling show, of course I want to inject some comedy in there, but it's totally fine if there's 2-3 minutes of no laughing, and that the taking that pressure away makes it so fun. And then guess what, you end up being funny because the pressure's off. So I love a storytelling format.
Well, what do you think the goal, with comedy, the goal is obviously laughter, right? But what do you think the goal of the storytelling is? What are you after?
I just want them to understand me, where I come from. I just wanted them to be in my shoes a little bit. And then because it was dark, I wanted them to laugh along the way without, I didn't want to torture them. So I felt that I had to make it a little bit funny, or else I would feel guilty putting them through that.
Do you think you'll ever try to even go further into the even less comedy and more serious stuff? Like stretch that out, see like how far can you go without needing a joke or trying to get a joke or...
Yeah, that does sound enticing. I've never considered that, like, until this exact moment. But when you're saying that, I'm like, yeah,
Because so far, everybody keeps telling me you have to have humor. I mean, everyone we've talked to, there needs to be humor there, tension release. But what is that line? How far can you go? And is that even true? Maybe it's not true.
Right.
And it's up to you to find out.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely a challenge I would accept. And thinking back to all the other performers you've had, everybody makes a lot of jokes.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Let me ask a related question. You can say, oh, there's not that pressure to get a laugh, but you've also spent years training yourself to hear that laugh and needing that reassurance on the stand-up stage. So for a lot of stand-ups, and I know this was the case for me, we can say, oh, I can go 2 or 3 minutes without a laugh. But then when you're actually doing it, there's this panic that sets in. How was that for you?
I had the panic, Watching it back just now, I keep going, just kidding, just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. And I was like, oh, because you're too, my brain is too fine-tuned looking for the laugh.
Right.
But when I was like preparing, like mentally, I was telling myself, you don't have to be funny. That is not the point here. But then it's an automatic, and I'm just trying to get one so bad all the time. But in the moment, just like to remind, okay, that's actually not the point, and you're doing okay. You're doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.